Hey, what's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. Hope that you guys are all having an amazing Sunday. Today is May 21st, and this is our Sunday Stock Talk. For those that are tuning in for the first time, our Sunday Stock Talk is where we break down the top stocks that you guys see value in. I just share my opinion, and we just are here to share ideas. I want to remind you that, again, you should never base a trade based off someone else's opinion. If you have any further questions about this, and or if you're someone that's just getting started and you would like any form of assistance, or you want us to help you cover any questions, feel free to message me. You can message me via Discord or via Instagram, and all of those links are down below. I do want to remind you, first off, I work with one team and one team only. I do not manage money for other people. I do not trade for other people. I offer one service, and it's so you can watch me trade live every morning. The reason I'm making you aware of what we're doing right now is because right now we went from 5,000 automatic entries to 10,000 automatic entries for the GTR giveaway. So every new member that joins LPP not only gets to watch me trade live every day, not only get to access to A to Z video lesson library, the private group chat, and the TechBuds HQ, but you also get entered 10,000 times for the GTR giveaway. So it's a one-time payment, lifetime access. If you've ever been waiting for our biggest discount, the second link in the description down below is going to be $175 off. And you also get 10,000 automatic entries for the GTR giveaway. The GTR giveaway for prize week ends tonight, but the GTR giveaway overall, if I'm not mistaken, ends in 14 days. So in 2 weeks, 14 days, 5 hours, one of you guys are going to be handed the keys to the GTR or $50,000 cash. It all depends on what you end up actually choosing. So just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, hey Ricky, can you go over QQQ for this up and coming week and give us any of your predictions for QQQ? So I can talk about where the market is as of right now, right? So NASDAQ futures pretty much break even. We're still testing that same resistance, it looks like, right? This is all after market hours, right? So NASDAQ futures are open right now, but I wouldn't really overcomplicate it, because they're trading a little bit in the red, or if they go back into the green, it really doesn't mean anything because the stock market is not open, right? But you can see this resistance range that we were testing right when the market opened. We began to try to indicate signs of an uptrend, but it looks like we're still getting rejected by that. So as of right now, I mean, the market has been pulling back just very little, nothing too significant. When looking at QQQ on the 1 hour time frame, we were traced back after its performance on Thursday. But if you look at QQQ, I mean, market is still extremely bullish, right? I've said it before, I more than anyone want to short the market, but I'm also not going to ignore the idea on how bullish the market is. The market is overbought, in my opinion, right? I do believe that the market has been on a consistent rally, and it's become very overbought to one point where, it almost didn't make sense on why it was still indicating signs of an uptrend, where we were waiting for a decision for the US debt ceiling, right? As of right now, it doesn't need to make sense. We've learned this about the market before, at least in my experience, and that's all I could speak from. NASDAQ market is extremely bullish. Yes, it is overbought in my opinion, but it doesn't mean that just because it's overbought that it has to pull back. And that's one thing that we love to remind our Learn Plan Profit traders is, at the end of the day, direction is key, and there's no reason to overcomplicate it beyond that, right? There's many times that I've burned myself by trying to force a short position, right? If you're part of LPP, you see this happen live. And I just put myself in a really tough position. So my biggest focus for this week is asking myself a very simple question: is there a clear sense of direction? I don't care if the market's bullish. I don't care if the market's bearish. I would prefer, right, bearish, because of how overbought it is. And I think we could all agree that if the market does pull on back, it would even be of more benefit for the bulls to buy at these lower levels as we test that moving average. But I don't know, right? I'm not here to be like, oh, I think that the market has to pull on back. No, I don't. I mean, based off of how bullish we've been, for no apparent reason other than that, yes, we might come up with a decision for the U.S. debt ceiling since time is running out. That's all I really that's the only thing that I'm really waiting to see, is if the market actually begins to retrace and break below this EMA line on the 1 hour time frame, or if we hold above and then we go back to retest that previous resistance right around 339. So very excited to follow up. There's no reason to overcomplicate my trading, right? I'll wait for direction to be a little bit more clear. And then at that point, I can make a more informed decision once I see either, yes, we are bullish or yes, we are bearish, right? All right, let's see what is next. So NVIDIA earnings this week. Yep, that is correct. So let's go ahead and my first video for today, my earlier video for the day today, I talked about NVIDIA and its relationship, right, with its microchip semiconductors and its amazing performance that it's had for the past year. A lot of people believe that NVIDIA is extremely overvalued and overbought. And I can see why, right? I mean, it's had an insane run from lows of 110 all the way to highs of 315. But it's been, again, extremely bullish. It's been overbought since 200. Yet it still continues to hold above the moving average. It is still holding above the EMA. It does pull back a little bit and it does consolidate, but we have not broken below the EMA. And it just looks like it's a freaking rocket, right? It just continues and continues to form higher highs and higher lows, and there's no reason to overcomplicate it if there is no break of pattern. It's a little bit too overbought for my, taste. But if you're someone that sees value in it and you have an open position and it's making you money, you are the final decision maker on where and when you decide to lock in profits. But based off of upside potential, based off of previous resistance at 346, and based off of pullback potential, I do agree. In my opinion, it is a little bit more on the overbought side, but it is extremely bullish. So this wouldn't be a position that I would open a short position on, as again, there is no break of pattern just yet. So U.S. debt ceiling crisis continues tomorrow. It sounds like it, right? It definitely does. So, all right. And again, guys, if you guys want me to break down your top stock, all I literally ask you to do is to drop a thumbs up and then share it in the live chat. And I would be more than happy to break it down for you. So if you want me to break down your stock, just literally share the ticker symbol and I'll give you my 2 cents. And feel free to share your idea on it as well. So let's go ahead and do CRWD. Here we go. So right off the bat, I liked how it used to trade right back in 2021, and then it's been forming these lower highs and lower lows. It looks like it's going back to retest that moving average, which it has done this before, but then it just sucks when it ends up getting rejected, and then it goes right back down to previous lows. It gets rejected and it goes back down to previous lows, and it forms lower highs and lower lows. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that, of this descending pattern and this descending moving average. As long as you are aware of that, then I think that's what's most important. But yes, it is coming from a really strong rally from lows of 117 all the way up to highs of 144. It's a little bit overbought for my taste, and it's a little bit too early on this potential reversal. I just would hate to buy now and then it get rejected just like it has before, and it goes right back down to the moving average to form new lows. So I would be very careful here. If it begins to form higher highs and higher lows, then I can revisit the idea of like, hey, this time it does look like it's actually indicating signs of an uptrend. But as of right now, it's just a little bit too early for me. So I'm going to reset the alert here just in case it ends up forming new lows. But also, right, I mean, it definitely can begin to form new highs and higher highs. And that's going to be the question. Are we showing progress above the moving average? So when it pulls back, as long as we hold above the moving average, that could be a step in the right direction, right? So let's go ahead and break down Walmart. What's going on, Lex? Appreciate you tuning on in. So let me go ahead and break this one down for you real quick. So based off of previous patterns, Walmart is testing its same resistance right around 155, 150 a share, right? So based off previous patterns, we've been rejected here before. We've been rejected here before. We're going back to retest. Looks like we're getting rejected once again. And anytime that it does get rejected from here, it looks like it tries to retest either back to the moving average as a support, right? So we could see, well, last time we dropped very aggressively, but I think that had to do with its earnings, right? Pulled on back, tried to form a recovery, went back to retest that same resistance range at 155, and then got rejected all the way back to 134. And if you look at this, I mean, we're talking about months. It sometimes takes 2 to 3 months for it to fully sell off, and then it begins to recover, right? So I wouldn't be very surprised if we do break below the EMA, that we can go back to test the potential support at the moving average or at 135. So something that we'll have to follow up with. What's going on, William? So appreciate you tuning on in. I'd love to break down American Airlines. American Airlines has been a swing trade that I choose to enter anytime that it hits lows of like sub 13, right? If you're part of my LPP team, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's something that I have a lot of fun with. I never enter with a very heavy position size, but anytime that it gets closer to the $15 to $16 price point, that tends to be a little bit more of that overbought level or overbought range for American Airlines. Not always. Obviously, it had a really strong rally and it held up here for quite some time. I would just be very careful getting in too early and too aggressive if it's still getting rejected at those levels. So obviously, eventually, I would hope that American Airlines breaks above that resistance and actually begins to show signs of progress. It's just been teeter-tottering here for so long that I just, looking at this, if we zoom in here, right, we have a very consistent support range right around 12, right, to $13, and then a very common resistance range of right around $14 to $15. So that's where I'm getting that range from. It just tends to often get rejected there, and it tends to often find a support level here. Patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to. So it's just going to be something that we'll follow up with to see if it actually continues to show progress on the upside. So let's go ahead and break down 4 more stocks. Again, if you want me to break down your stock, all we literally ask you to do is drop a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it in the live chat. So here we go. Let's go ahead and do Fiverr. FVRR. I appreciate you tuning on in. FVRR. We got fabulous. All right. Fiverr looks like it's been struggling, going back to retest its support. Again, this is just, 100% my opinion. If you want to choose to invest in something like this, that is up to you. Fiverr has just been struggling really badly, right? From highs of 336 during the pandemic, it's been forming lower highs and lower lows. There's a handful of companies like this, like Carvana, that's just really just, I do not know if they're ever going to recover. I've never experienced anything like this where they experience a super huge, rally. And this was part because of COVID. This was part because of the pandemic and all those stimmy checks, right? Everyone was staying home. Fiverr was skyrocketing. And then from 336 all the way to lows of $27 a share. I don't know if it's ever going to get back. I've never experienced anything like what we experienced, in the past 5 years. So it would be impossible for me to say, oh, yes, I think this is going to be a great long-term investment. I hope that Fiverr can make it out of it, just like I hope Carvana can, but they each have their own struggles. And I like to keep my trading very simple. It's already challenging enough, right? Where I ask myself a very simple question, and it's, am I missing out by not being invested? And the simple answer for Fiverr is no, right? It's forming lower highs, lower lows. There's no progress on the upside. It's very easy to see that it's a consistent descending pattern. And although it does rally for short periods of time, it continues to sell off. So if you're someone that wants to try to trade those little rallies, just know that you're trading something that's of super high risk, right? With that descending pattern. But for me, it's too risky. There's no sense of a bullish pattern or, recovery. There's recovery potential, but there's no confirmation of that reversal. So if anything, I can just set alerts, right? Alerts are a very powerful thing. You don't have to take a trade. You can literally just set your alerts. And if the opportunity ends up presenting itself and you want to revisit the idea of potentially investing in Fiverr when it's looking a little bit more bullish, then great, so be it. I just want to remind you, right? I just want to remind you of how important it is that you don't have to take a position just because you have the money, right? There's nothing wrong with staying cash. Cash is king. And don't put yourself in a position in which you cannot tolerate, right? So what would you do if you have 600K? If you're learning how to do something, I don't believe you should be trading with that specific dollar amount right off the bat. I would say that with that large of a dollar amount, you should go and reach out to a financial advisor, right? It's always good to have some form of safe play, right? Especially if you're new to the market, you worked really hard for your money. I don't think that you should just throw it at something and hope that it does well. I'm all for having a safe form of investments, but also, if you wanted to take a very, very small part of it, or you can paper trade, right? You can trade with fake money. You can learn how to do it. It's something that we tried to encourage our beginner traders, right, that are part of LPP, is that you worked really hard for your money. And that's great that you have a large allocation of capital, but it doesn't mean that you have to just throw it at something and hope that it does well, right? Why not learn how to do something first, test it out, see if you work well with it, and if you do, then you can make the transition once you're more informed, right? Once you've proven it to yourself that you can do well. There's no reason to overcomplicate it. So Ricky, I really need your help. Again, I don't trade for other people. I don't manage funds for other people. I would never do that, right? So if you're actually looking to invest those 600,000, I would say reach out to a financial advisor, right? And when it comes down to learning how to trade, if this is something that you want to take on yourself, you don't need to do it with 600,000. You can do it with as small as $500, $1,000. You're going to test things out. You're going to make mistakes. Those mistakes are going to cost you money. You shouldn't be learning how to trade with $600,000, right? I hope that you know by me saying this, right? I'm not trying to discourage you to not trade. I'm just trying to encourage you to look out for yourself. I want you to be selfish. I want you to look out for your future self. And I think it'd be very naive for me to say like, oh yeah, I think you should buy this one stock. For all of our Learn Plan Profit traders, you guys know, right? I don't give buy signals. I don't give sell signals. I don't tell people where to put their money. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to, right? I share my opinion. I trade myself and I share my thought process, and they get an inside look on both my good trades and my bad trades. And that's it, right? You just get access to me. So just bought a GTR mystery box. Pretty excited. What's going on, Lenny Santiago? I have to check it out. We'll get you some. Got to check how many entries you have. But a good reminder for all those that haven't joined or haven't purchased anything. There's 5 hours left. You guys don't have to, right? This is for the GTR giveaway. It's shoptechbuds.com or the fourth link in the description down below. Prize week means that every order gets a prize. It's either $1 to $100 is one of the prizes, or one of the larger prizes. We've given away anything from smart TVs, Xboxes, PS5s, iPads, Beat Solos, Apple Watch, and drones. So the cool thing about this is that you can place any order today and you automatically get entered for the GTR giveaway. But on top of that, you get automatically one of these prizes. So I think that's pretty cool. There's 5 hours left for this prize week, and then the GTR giveaway ends in 14 days. So in 2 weeks, I'm going to be, the giveaway ends in 2 weeks finally. I know a lot of you guys are over it already. But for our team, it's super exciting because in 2 weeks, we're going to be literally handing one of you guys the key. I was going to ask you guys if you wanted me to make a video talking about the giveaway, because on how it works, kind of like on the business side, because I don't think a lot of you guys know, we're not just like this GTR that we have it licensed and bonded. So we wanted to do it like the extremely legit way. And there's a third-party sweepstakes company that's involved, and they're going to be selecting the winner. I think that it would be pretty cool for you guys to see, kind of to get an inside look on, I know a lot of the people that follow me are very business minded. I don't mind sharing how the giveaway works, and maybe for some of you guys that have a company, it could be something that maybe later down the road you guys can entertain. But yeah, I think that would be cool. So how to join the drawing? Well, the sweepstakes company selects the winner. So we send all the information from the people that signed up for LPP and all the people that purchased something, right? That got automatically entered by shopping at Shop Tech Buds. And then the sweepstakes company selects the winner. So let's go ahead and do two more stocks. So he's always talking about it more than trading. Aaron, I don't get why you get bothered if I'm talking about something that someone asked me about. If it bothers you that much, Aaron, I promise you, man, I won't even notice if you're not here, right? That's how insignificant, your presence is. So you're more than welcome to, you don't have to be here. If it bothers you, if I talk about anything aside from breaking down a stock, please, again, like I said, I won't even notice that you're not here. So I just don't get it, why people need to complain about that stuff. Of course, I'm going to answer questions if I see it pop up. If that bothers you, then peace. DPST. All right. So DPST, let's go ahead and break this down on the day chart. All right. So right off the bat, I mean, a consistent lower high and lower low. Yes, I do agree that it does look very, very oversold. I see no reason on why I would enter something like this, right? Going back to the same principle of, remember, they're like, if you're not missing out by not being invested, then why jump into something if it's consistently forming high, showing signs of lower highs and lower lows? Because of that, right off the bat, again, this just doesn't meet my criteria. Just because it doesn't meet mine doesn't mean that it can't meet yours. I'm just saying right off the bat, consistent descending pattern, lower highs, lower lows. I've burned myself many times trying to find the bottom of a stock. And again, just sharing and learning from my experience. I just choose now moving forward to try to stay away from these as much as possible. All right. All right. And there it goes. Easy block for Aaron. And just like that, you can't message anymore in the live chat. So simple. Here we go. All right, let's do Palantir. So Palantir has been on a pretty strong run after it reported earnings. But remember, we talked about this. Anytime something becomes this overbought, just as quick as it gapped up, it gaps down. And again, just knowing Palantir's recent setup, right, with its lower highs and lower lows, I would just be cautious, right? Just taking into consideration on how much pullback potential it does have based off of how overbought it is. I would be very cautious with this. We'll see if we hold above the EMA. If it breaks below that, we're probably going to go back to retest previous resistance, which could act as a new support. But anytime something gaps up this quickly, I would just be, it's not that you need to short it. It's just that I would pay attention to it and be aware that a pullback isn't going to be far-fetched. So what's going on, Eric? Now, the other person was named like Aaron, but it was like spelled funny. I don't think their parents, I don't know if they understood, how to spell, but it's okay. It makes sense on why he is how he is. I would be pretty upset if my name was spelled that way too. So can you break down PEP? Of course, let's go ahead and break it down. Alrighty. Looking at this on the day chart, so this is PepsiCo. So big Pepsi, just like Coca-Cola, right? Consistent higher highs, higher lows. I mean, Danny, at least for me, right, when it comes down to this is something that would meet my criteria potentially for like a long-term investment, right? It's super consistent, very reliable, has a proven track record. Looking at this on the week chart, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit on the overbought side right now, right? Based off of recent patterns, it's just coming off of a really nice rally. I would like to entertain the idea of a potential pullback, but again, it's just so bullish that, the closer that I could get it to the moving average, the more ideal, I would say, right? Because the more it pulls back, the better deal I can get it for if it continues this overall uptrend pattern. And it looks like even at its worst, it pulls back a little bit below the moving average, but then it goes back to rally, goes back to rally, goes back to rally, goes back to rally. So yeah, I'd say it's a pretty simple setup. I would definitely like to wait for this thing to get closer to the moving average, and then I would like to entertain the idea of, waiting for that reversal. But just like we talked about in the LPP lesson library, right, the 3 stages of reversal, exactly what I'm talking about, Danny. I would just like to stay patient enough to try to get it at a good deal. Obviously, I'm not going to buy at the lowest price, but get it for a fair deal and then get it on that upswing, right? So watch my position size, wait for that confirmation, and add more to it once direction is in my favor. So I'm really happy that you're able to share this. This one's probably, out of all the ones that we've broken down, one of my favorites just because a lot of them have been too risky, right? Ricky, can you break down LGVN? So LGVN. Here we go. So consistent lower lows and lower highs. So consistent descending pattern, just not something that would meet my criteria. It looks like it has these breakouts from time to time. Not my cup of tea. Again, just because it's not something that I would trade doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I've just been burned with stocks like this many times, and that's all I can say, right? I could only speak from my experience. So let's go ahead and do this one, NIO. Yeah, I already did Walmart. So again, a consistent lower low, lower high, consistent descending pattern. no indication of, missing out by not being invested. Again, it's if you're part of LP, you hear me say like these phrases over and over again, but I think it's good because hopefully it just becomes a habit, right? How many, can I see a show of hands in the live chat? How many times have you thought you bought a stock at the bottom of where you thought was the bottom, and the cheap got cheaper, right? It just continued to sell off. And to me, that's one of the worst feelings, because you're like, oh, it has to go up. I already bought it at the lowest price point. It's at 52-week lows. But guess what, right? This thing has been selling off for nearly 2 years. So because of that, why would now be the bottom, right? If this is not indicating any signs of an uptrend, again, I'm trying to do myself a favor and not put myself in a position in which I'm just going to end up regretting later down the road. I would rather slow down, set my alerts, and if this thing actually does begin to indicate signs of a reversal, then I can follow up with it and choose to take advantage of it once it actually begins to meet my criteria and proves to me that it's indicating signs of an uptrend. So I do see your suggestion, Ultra Instinct. The cheap can always get cheaper. So you want me to break down MU, which is Micron Technologies. Looking at this on the weekly setup, again, overall beautiful setup, right? With these pullbacks, they're pretty aggressive, but then they rally, pull back, rally, pull back. So I like the setup on the week chart. On the day chart, I still think that it's a little bit early on, but based off of what I've heard great things about Micron Technology. I think it's very important for you to do your own due diligence and look into it further, just depending if you're going to want to go into it as a long-term play. You just want to make sure that, right, you take time to do your due diligence to see what your potential is, see what their financials are, what's to come, and it looks like it's been, at least based off of its past, a very strong performing stock. The reason I always say just look a little bit deeper into it is how much would it suck that this ends up being the all-time highs and then it just goes downhill from here, right? So again, I'm not just trying to talk about all of the good of a company. I want to make you aware that things can get worse before they get better, and it's very important to, for you to look into it. All right. Here it goes. So Ricky, for supply chain issues, week on TSN. Let's go ahead and break it down. All right, TSN, here we go. All right, so I had a really strong rally. Looks like it peaked in the end of 2021, peaked early 2022. We've pulled on back to lows of 56 from overall highs of 141, and it looks like it's trying to rip once again. Okay, so we're testing this resistance right here, right around 92, right around 100, right? The thing that I like about what it's doing right now is that it's holding above the moving average on the day chart. So even when it did pull back, it didn't pull back as low as it did before. So hopefully we can put an end to these lower highs and lower lows. But as of right now, it's still too early to tell. So my big thing would be I would set an alert for the break below the moving average, but I would also set an alert to see if we actually show progress on the upside. I think that would be, a step in the right direction that we haven't really been able to show progress beyond in quite some time, holding above the moving average and actually indicating signs of an uptrend. So something that we can definitely follow up with. So, okay. All right, so Amazon looking good. Let's go ahead and break it down. So Amazon has always pretty much looked good, right? Especially on the day chart or overall big picture on the week chart. Obviously, very super consistent, higher highs, higher lows, recent pullback, obviously, because of what has happened in 2022, right? It looks like it hopefully has found its bottom. We'll see if it actually has. It looks a little bit more on the overbought side for me, kind of just like where I see most of the market. But again, the market's been ripping up higher. There's no break of pattern. There's no sense of change of direction. What we've seen is higher highs and higher lows, but there's no reason to overcomplicate it beyond that. For me, I'm just going to choose to wait a little bit for Amazon to kind of correct itself, maybe get it closer to the $100 price point. It's just a little bit too overbought, just for my 2 cents. But overall, I don't view Amazon as a stock that I would trade. I view Amazon as a stock that I would like to buy and hold for a long period of time, because that's the type of criteria that it meets, at least for myself. So Amazon is definitely a position that I'm very excited to continue to hold, and I'm very happy to see how well it's been performing even after, right, when it reported earnings, it gapped up and corrected itself. It's been on a steady climb, and we'll see, right? We'll see if it holds above that EMA. We'll see if it holds above that moving average. But as of right now, it looks extremely bullish, even after this slight little pullback. Again, anything that rallies pullbacks, even in the smallest way. So very excited to follow up. But I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. I know that you guys probably have a busy Sunday. I just wanted to remind you guys that, again, tomorrow at Market Open, we will be going live with the LPP team. You don't have to join, but if you want to be able to watch me trade live every morning, then again, I only work with one team and one team only, and that's that second link in the description down below. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access, and yes, you do get 10,000 entries for the GTR giveaway. Another way to enter the GTR giveaway is by heading on over to shoptechbutts.com, selecting your favorite items, and getting entered. Prize week ends in 5 hours, so if you guys did want to enter during prize week, then make sure that you select your favorite items and get entered, where every order gets a prize. If you want to learn more about this, please, I encourage you, head on over to shoptechbutts.com and click on the banner, and it will break down everything it is that you need to know, how many days are left, how to enter the giveaway, all that good stuff is all broken down for you at shoptechbutts.com or the fourth link in the description down below. I really do appreciate you guys' time. Hope that we're in a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for all of our LPP traders. I'll see you tomorrow at Market Open. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.